Peace. We about to have this build. It's about to be monumental. The Trick to Money is Having Some by Stuart Wilde, Chapter 2. The Cliff Note version. Just to build. Yesterday we talked about money being energy and you being able to conceptualize energy. You might not be able to conceptualize money because you don't have it, or you just got a low paying job or whatever, but realizing that money is energy. And I went to sleep with that concept, and today has just been remarkable as far as the opportunity that I was blessed with because of the video that I put out yesterday, and because of the work that I was doing and the energy that I put out yesterday. It manifested for me righteously, and that's no lie. So that was confirmation for me to continue on what I was doing. Like I said, it's 11 chapters in this book, and I plan to give you guys all 11 chapters. But we're going to get into this chapter right here. Tock, the destiny of the masses. So he begins to talk about the regular, everyday world that we live in. In this world that we live in this country, there's money. People have the idea of money to say, if I don't have money, I don't eat. And if I don't eat, I die. So, and people find their worth on how much money that they have and the possessions that they have. This is how people value themselves. This brings about the ego. And the ego main function in our being is survival, which is necessary. And since money is linked to survival, the ego is obsessed with money. But our emotions around this money, right? So say our ego is obsessed with money, but generally we have negative emotions around the money that we don't have, right? Let's keep it real. That emotion cuts us off from our financial windfalls, right? So, like, be real with yourself and how you feel about the money that you have. Do you feel like you have enough? Do you feel like you want more? Are you afraid that the money that you do have will eventually run out? This is cutting you off, right? This is a prison that we create with our feelings. The reality is that this world is abundant. We could very well divide all of the resources and finances in the world with the billions of people, and all of the billions of people would be millionaires, because there's trillions upon trillions of dollars circulating around us at this very moment. But only a small percentage of people don't have negative emotions around their money. But for the most part, everybody identifies with their financial limitations, and that creates insecurities, and that's why we can't share with each other. People are more afraid to lose what they have rather than gain more. Good evening, Fatima. We need to start to understand that abundance is not a matter of how much money you have. There is different levels to abundance. So, like I said yesterday, if you was making $15,000 and you got a raise for $30,000, you would be ecstatic. But if you was a millionaire and you got demoted to a $30,000 a year job, you would want to kill yourself. So it's not about the money per se, it's about the emotions that you have around the money that you have. A child can get $10 and you could set his whole life off. Like, so is it's about the feelings around money. Having money does not free you from worry. So before we get into how to make lots of cash, because it's 11 chapters in this book, we want to first deal with the foundational. How do you feel about money? How much do you need to be free? What does it mean to be free? Because like Biggie said, more money, more problems, if we're not addressing these subconscious inner issues around money, period. Even though it's better to be rich than poor, it's still not enough to say that, money is going to make all my problems go away. So we need to understand where those problems are coming from, because a part of this journey is understanding that it's not about the money that I don't have is creating the problems for me to go forward. And a lot of us have that. Like, for instance, if I make this amount of money, then I'm going to be happy. But that's not true. Because you probably will get that money, and if you waste it, then it's like you never had it. So you have to make these decisions subconsciously. And if you have no money at this present time, that's perfect, because you have the perfect attitude to say that you can only go up from here. A lot of times people with money be so afraid to lose it, they attract that into their reality. So, but at the same time, I'm not glorifying poverty. I'm just saying that if you are impoverished, now is a perfect time to build your energy, right? Because without income, we don't have freedom. A lot of us are dependent on the government for breaks in daycare, food, tax breaks, income tax, things of that nature. We depend on the government to get by, right? So we are aligning ourselves with the sinking ship. So it's best for us, conscious folk, to become independent and self-supporting and figuring out what it means for us personally to be free. And we're going to talk about what freedom means in a second. Because it's amazing how many spiritual people then get into different conversations and different side conversations about politics, as if politics affect my manifestations. Like I'm gonna do a ritual or a spell, but within the confines of my ritual, I'm gonna factor in if Trump is elected president or not, whether I want to manifest my reality. That makes no sense. So it's not really deep to get into that. Because, say for instance, the world is going to be over soon. What would be the point in building and understanding money and acquiring wealth? The reasons why you want to focus on building money and acquiring wealth, because the world may not end in a couple of years. You may live to be 80. So with that being said, wouldn't it be wise to understand money and finances and understand energy and how it relates to money? And if it does happen, it's best to be rich when the world starts to end, so you could live comfortably as the world goes to shit. So how do we do this? We start to change our paradigm. We unplug from the media, and we start making commitments to our inner self about the life that we want to have. We don't have to make a commitment to anybody. We don't have to join a church. We don't have to have a particular reading, have a fantastic spiritual experience. We can make that inner conversation with ourselves to commit to being free and realizing who you are. I made this commitment a long time ago, and who I am today is not who I was when I made that commitment. I was in that sunken place. but I knew who I wanted to become. And so I deal with who I am now based upon a commitment that I made with myself a long time ago. And now I'm dealing with the manifestation of that. I'm confident within myself. And the things around me don't make me, because I know what I've came through. And I know the conversations that I have with self. And that inner dialogue, nobody can step into. And if I look at the news all day, then I would be more worried about my future, thinking that something was going to happen. Because the reality of war is that the citizens survive the war, no matter what country wins or loses. So after the war is over, it's people that have their shit together, and it's people that align themselves with the system and the government and suck in the titty of the government, and they fall with the shit. So like I said, it's best to be independent and learn how to create wealth, learn how to build your energy, instead of depending on this government to grant you some type of, $1 million check because you was a slave at a certain point in time. Because life is not random. Life is about the life that you create by building your energy. And when you build your energy, the universe has to match based upon the work that you're doing. Because it's universal law that water seeks its own level. So what I'm putting out is what I'm getting in return, through sincerity and through doing the work and being persistent and diligent in the message. Because the reality is, if you don't change, then shit happens around you that forces that change upon you, and the ego hates change. But when you under pressure, that pressure, you sometimes flee the ego and you just make your moves. Because let's be real about it. If things was stable and everything was good, then what would you need to change, and what would you need to learn, and what would you need to understand? For me, this is what makes life worth living, to alter and change my reality to the reality that I want. I'm not afraid of that. I'm ready for that. Because if you're not free, you're going to feel restricted. And this is an indication that one would need to change. So, understanding that you need to change, you start to make that commitment with the inner self. And deal with the inner reality. Because they say, as above, so below. So, my inner reality would be the same as the outer reality. And what they talk about in space is that how massive, right, space is, how many different universes and suns and galaxies and stars, and it's infinite, right? But if the first universal law that the ancient mind goes under is as above, so below, then that would mean that since I can't reach the outer, what I can reach is the inner, and the inner is just as vast as the outer, right? So there is no limit. And within myself, I am free. In outer space, like the contents of outer space is within me. So it is a sense of freedom and a sense of abundance. But how many people deal with that? Because freedom is a feeling, not a circumstance or a certain particular environment. A lot of times we waiting for that casino hit, that lottery hit, to make a number one record, or whatever the case may be, something out of ordinary, something real fantastic to happen for our circumstances to happen. But the reality is that it may never happen. And understand what it is to be free is to be fluid in your lifestyle. Because like certain people may have a lot of money, but they have to be like an NBA player, for instance. He can't just say, you know, I'm going to take a couple months off. I mean, he can get injured or whatever. But at a certain point, if you want to be injured, then you're not going to be in the NBA for too long. So it's more or less like you're not free. So not being free, no matter how much money you have, you going to deal with a sense of sadness and a sense of misery. And, you know, if you're not making millions of dollars, you might not understand that. And that's why they isolate themselves from you, because you can't understand why they can still be sad. And they might be going through the same shit you going through with millions of dollars. So some people seek $1,000 a week. Some people need $10,000 a month. Some people need $1 million a year. But you need to be confident with that amount, that you know that this is going to free those negative emotions around money. To say, if I had this amount of money, I would be good. But it's not like, you know, waiting for, you know, one lump sum to come. It's all about it's not about having one purse that you kind of just can div out of. It's about that purse, but the different streams of income enter into that purse. So when you do spend money, you don't never feel like you're losing, because you got 4 more coming back. And understand the different streams of income, and then understanding that you need to release your negative emotions around the money. Because once you reach that point of, okay, this is cool, I'm cool with this, then those subconscious triggers that we talked about earlier that keep money away from you, those things bay down. Those things ease. So now you got money coming in from different ways, and now you can take different risks, and now you can, like, you know, you doing shit now. You going, taking trips, and you eating, and you're not worried about, if I don't make this, like, how is my kids gonna eat? That's a real crazy emotion to have, and then want to be rich. Like, because if you focused on that, you don't have time to be creative. And in order to create something of a different type of income, you have to exhibit some form of creativity. So you need space. But we're going to get into that. The click is when we can make money a symbol of survival into a symbol of freedom. What are we using money for? Because once we do that, the opportunity comes, that money come, and people want to know, like, how did you change? And that's another way you can make money too. Oh, this is all crazy. I've been thinking about New Orleans today. That's why I got my little pin in. I love New Orleans. Cause honestly, man, with this money, no matter how much you got, no matter how much you don't got, if you're not comfortable with yourself, the money is not going to be the thing that provides you comfort. And if you can't walk away from where you at, if you feel bound to where you at, without like some serious consequence, like you not being able to pay your rent or something like that. Like anybody can quit a job, but if you ain't got nothing to fall back on, you're not free. If the things that you do is the majority of your conversation, like your kids, your job, if those are the things that you do every day and you don't have anything outside of that, then you're not free. Being caught in this system, you're going to fall with this system. But if you got services, if a different government come in and you got good services, then it's not like they're going to wipe the whole face of the earth off. They might just step in and change a couple of things that might empower you. Because it's not to say that this government is good. Because, like I said earlier, if you don't have any money today, you can say you have abundance and you are prosperous. And have that conversation with your inner self. Trusting that your inner self will always put you at the right time, at the right place to receive money. Like, we can test our psychic abilities out real simple by simply closing our eyes and imagining squeezing a sour lemon on our tongue. You can feel that throughout your whole body. Now feel yourself financially free and abundant. But make it a practice. Be deliberate. You're going to have to talk yourself into it. You can't just do this shit for one day. I made a commitment years ago. And this is a commitment that I'm going to spend the rest of my life trying to fulfill and trying to understand. Because once you understand that energy is infinite, your mind is infinite, your life will be infinite. If you see it as infinite and abundant, then it is so. You can't feel as though... See, the news, the trick about the news is that in TV, anything, it makes you think, in your friends, family, it makes you think that your view is their view. It's a shared view. But that's not necessarily true. Your view is just your view. But if you allow yourself to be influenced, then you share a view. But that's why, you gotta unplug. And it's like, it's so much money and so much waste going on. Stewart likened it to being in the bakery and dying of starvation. That's how people are with money and understanding energy. People get money, get massive amounts of money. People lose massive amounts of money every day. So, wrapping this up. Even though we got the plans to make money, we may have a good job, we may hit the lottery, we may have people giving us money all the time and be in a good situation financially, it's always best to have a metaphysical approach. Because metaphysics simplify your life. You simply deal with the energy of your inner self. You take a step back from it. You become the God self. You become observant. Because the trick is to get out of most of the emotions that are around money. And we start to resonate daily with a strong and steady energy, whether people like it or not. Because we're not doing it for them, we're doing it for ourselves. And we persistent, and we doing this daily. Because we serious about what we want to manifest for ourselves. You know what I'm saying? If anything kind of went over your head, you can send me a message either on Facebook, or you can email me, hoodmystic@gmail.com, because I want people to understand this, because this is big. This is spiritual. And this is something that's guiding me. And I hope it can do the same for others. But that was chapter 2. Hopefully tomorrow we get into chapter 3. But if not, it'll be the day after, because I got a long day tomorrow. So we'll just see how it goes. But I'm going to finish it one way or the other. But everybody have a good night. Peace.